conscious evolutionaries, welcome back to the campfire. I think I will title today's episode as Turning Shit into Fertilizer. But first of all, welcome, guys. I'm so happy that I made it after all. I made it later than my usual schedule, but I'll go all into why that is, what happened, and so on and so on. But first of all, I want to say thank you for watching. I am surprised how many people started watching after the last episode, how many people subscribed for the last episode. So before I forget, thank you so much. I'm really happy that you guys seem to like it. Um, it makes me feel good that I'm not just talking to myself, or that I now know that I'm not just talking to myself as I sit here. Um, so yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot. So how was your week? I hope it was better and less eventful than mine. Oh boy. I had heard people say, good astrologers say, Scorpio season will last till the very last day of Scorpio season, which was on Thursday. And oh boy, did it. I had such a struggle day. So many things were like pushing up, like some kind of a volcanic eruption type energy, which, of course, in hindsight is always good and you feel better. And once it's out, but the process just sucks. Let's be honest about it. And so that was a hard day. And then Friday, I had actually scheduled to record the Fika because, as you can see, the one good thing that we have right now is the weather and some snow. Not as much as we first thought, but it's the first snow of the year now. And so that's always cheerful. And so I scheduled to go up to the cabin above the lake yesterday. But of course, because the day before was such turbulence, like I needed to level out some things. Things just needed to settle back in. And then my oldest horse wasn't doing too well. And he had strong signs of being colicky, which is, if you know anything about horses, can be very dangerous, very big problems. So, yeah, that has been my focus since Friday noon. But he seems to be doing better. It didn't get really, really bad, but I spent most of yesterday afternoon treating him, giving him healings, giving him physical therapy, working on his fascia so that the intestines would keep on working and keep on moving, and that whatever was causing his cramps would start to move out. And so I got up early this morning. He still hadn't made any manure. He was farting though, so it's really funny. And that's how we got today's title, how I finally got my inspiration, because I was kind of like, I'm not sure what we should be talking about this week. But yeah, when that happens to your horse, you will never have been so happy as to see a pile of shit come out. And then finally later on this morning, it did, and took him on a walk a little bit, and he seems to be doing better. He's not feeling great, but he seems to be doing better, and the dangerous zone seems to be more or less out of the woods, or how you say that. So then I thought, well, maybe I can turn this shitty situation into something good. And then I thought, well, when I started on the Fika idea, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's also something we can do live. But then again, in the forest, we have terrible reception, so that's not possible. So then I thought, well, it's too late, and I don't have the time right now to hike all the way up. So maybe I will just set up in my backyard. So welcome to my backyard. Our front yard kind of depends. That's kind of the front door. But yeah, our garden. And what was I saying? Yeah, you can still probably sense I'm a little bit all over the place and stressed out about the whole situation, because then I thought, well, if I have to stay here, I can set it up close enough to my Wi-Fi connection, and then I can figure out how to do a YouTube live, because I've never done one and it seems nice to do at some point. So I thought, well, let's turn this bad situation into a good one, and I can figure out a YouTube live. I set up everything. I go to YouTube, I try to go live, and then YouTube starts claiming I don't have 50 subscribers. So, long story short, that isn't very interesting. I could do it on my laptop, but my laptop has a terrible camera. And since I had it all set up already with my phone, I thought, well, I'll just record it now, and I'll try to get it up by tomorrow morning. So it will be a day late, but hopefully you guys will be able to still enjoy it. And yeah, I guess no life for now. I guess I will have to figure out what the problem is there. Might just be like a software glitch with the app on iPhone or something. I'm not sure. But I'm sure it's not happening today. So let's see. I will put timestamps on the video. I did it after a few days for the last video. So as soon as I can find the time for it, because I know that sometimes people come here because they're very interested in the topic of the title and so on, and they might not have the time to stay and chat for an hour. So if you came for something specific that you're interested in, that you would like to hear my take on, yeah, you can just check the timestamps and see what seems interesting, and then you can just skip ahead to certain parts. So if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, you still get what you came for. And I'm working on getting to the point sooner, and maybe being less all over the place, but with everything that happened in the last days, and this being completely not what I planned. Yeah, I guess my energy still needs to settle a little bit as well. Because it's been a crazy couple of days. So maybe we just start with a hot beverage and take it from there. because it's so cold. It's even harder to eat the chocolate because it's so hard. It takes so much longer to melt. Hmm. So it's pretty cold. I forgot to check exactly how cold it is, but don't let the sun fool you. It's quite deep in the minus. Probably like, I don't know, I guess would be somewhere between -7 and -9. That's degrees Celsius. Um, so I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit, but yeah, it's freezing pretty steep. And so I guess being here, so maybe a little bit more comfortable. I have a just freshly made warm water bottle under the blanket as well. That's not something I can take up to the cabin and still have it warm there. So I guess we can see that as a positive. But yeah, I was a little bit struggling finding the topic for today. And there was like a few things swirling around in my head, but nothing that really said like popped out. And then yesterday, thinking about why is that shit not coming out? I was like, well, maybe we should talk about shit turning into fertilizer because, I start the challenge off with telling people, well, basically, welcome to Earth. This is one of the most challenging experiences you can choose because it is. And I see so many people and they say, oh, when is it going to be done with this? Or like, when's things going to quiet down or calm down? And it's very understandable, because it is a lot. But at the same time, he kind of opted into that. Um, when people say they want it easy, I usually answer like, well, show me your contract that says we were going to get it easy. Because if you wanted it easy, you wouldn't have come here. Like, this is not beginner's level easy setting shit. This is the hard shit when you come here. But it's so coveted because that's exactly the reason why it creates so much transformation and so much evolution, so much progress. What you can do in one human life takes elsewhere thousands of years. So, yeah, people often seem to forget that when it gets hard, which is not ununderstandable. But it's one of the things that I'm teaching in the challenge because when you can remember that, it it actually makes it easier when you're not expecting it to be easy. That makes it more doable and that makes you feel more capable. And it's like one of the reasons that I'm doing the challenge to help people frame things correctly and see it more correctly and get a better perspective of all of these elements that go into life. Because I remember as a kid, I had all of these questions and no one could answer them. No one could explain to me like what to do when what was important and the rules that existed, the things they could say, they always were based upon what's the convention in our society, what do people expect of you, but they have nothing to do with how do the mechanics of life actually work, and how can I work with these mechanics to move into the direction that I want. So that's actually the basis of the Inner Compass Challenge. So if this is something that you want, it's not too late to sign up, not even for the free spots. A lot of people are very weird in that way, because I would also think like, oh, that's long gone. A bunch of people signed up. Then I send out an email, say, hey, book your first appointment. Half the people don't. So that means those people's spots are still up for grabs. So if you want it, grab it. I promise you, if you don't want to, you don't have to spend a cent. And you will still get all of the value that's in there. And it's a lot. I think the sessions will be like 3 times an hour and a half. I was aiming for 1 hour, but it's always the same thing. I always tend to go overtime, so it's looking like an hour and a half per session. So that's literally just 3 sessions where we go for like an hour and a half. I try to show you all of those steps, how they relate to each other, what you can look at what point. I have like this whole thing mapped out, and just so you know all of these things that you should be paying attention to. And it's a lot. I understand it's a lot. But if you know everything that you have to look, you can see like, this I'm pretty good at already. This requires more work. And it gives you so much more empowerment to figure out what to do next and where to pay attention. And yeah, it's a big difference. And then I had people mailing me like, yeah, but just tell me your offer. And of course, there is an offer, because people sometimes need more. But by all means, that's not what I'm doing it for. I hope that I can help the people who need me. But most importantly, I am trying to create the inner sanctum, and I am trying to structure all of these things that I've always done intuitively with people one on one. So this is just a step in between for me to figure out how to teach what I've been doing. And so maybe it looks too good to be true. I don't know. People go maybe like, I'm not sure that I trust it because it looks too good to be true. But I promise you, it's an honest offer and you have nothing to lose. Just if you make an appointment, show up. That's all that I'm asking. And other than that, you are more than welcome. And I hope that it will answer a lot of your questions that you have, so that you can fix any struggles that you have with navigating your life. And yeah, even for me, nothing I teach will tell you this will make your life easy. No. What I teach is, when there is a storm, when it gets hard, how do you keep going where you want to go? How do you not fall? How do you not sink? How do you not get so lost that you don't know how to get back on track? And that means accepting that life comes with a bunch of challenges and a lot of shit sometimes. But the whole point is to take that shit and to turn it into fertilizer for the future, for the rest of your life, for what's coming, for the people around you. Because all that shit comes with lessons. And when you start integrating those lessons, you can help other people. You can take your life to the next level. And it's not just happening randomly ever. So everything that comes on your path comes on your path for a reason. I hope that makes sense. I can feel that my head is still a little bit all over the place. So I do hope that that makes sense to you and that I'm not just rambling inside of my head and nobody's able to follow. We often can do so much more than we think we can do. Like, yeah, Thursday was hard. And then in the evening, I actually had the first call for the challenge. And I was like, oh my God. And I didn't get like the preparation I wanted, and I didn't get to practice anymore. And just all of these reasons in my head. In the end, all you have to do is show up. And then there's this lovely person on the other side, and she's saying so many nice things about you and complimenting you and telling you how helpful it is. And then you just remember, why you do it and why you did it anyways. And yeah, then it all makes it worth it. But if you then just go like, no, I'll cancel and or reschedule, and it would probably take a lot longer. But if you can manage to get yourself there anyways, imperfect, with your doubts, it's actually the most important thing to show up. And the language that this reality actually responds to the most is action. So it's basically the same thing. So yeah, you can do more than you think you can do. I can feel that my energy is starting to settle a little bit. That's the great thing, about coming to talk to you guys. Is I don't. At least I hope it's a win-win. 'Cause it creates this nice time and space for myself as well, and hopefully something that is helpful for you guys as well. So now we are in Sagittarius season since yesterday. So now we are kind of done with our boundaries. Well, most people are done with their boundaries. I'm a Taurus, so I basically have to work 2 times. Keep doing um, the sign itself and then the sign afterwards. I'll still have to work on that, so I always have to take double time. But for most people, boundaries kind of should be done. And now we're entering into our belief territory. And so we're going to be working on everything we believe about ourselves and our lives and our future. Just very interesting. Also seems very synchronistic with the challenge because it's a big part of there. A lot of the homework that I have is about working on their beliefs because they determine so much, because our entire system is created to stay in alignment with what we believe, to stay consistent with what we believe. I think Tony Robbins calls it like the thermostat. And so whenever when we try to change, but we forget to change our beliefs, that's where then again our self-sabotage kicks in and all kind of weird things start happening. And it's because if you've always believed, for example, that making a lot of money is bad because rich people are bad people, uh, and then all of a sudden you start like get a promotion and all of a sudden you start making a lot of money, you might like start do some really weird things and not show up to work when you're supposed to and start fucking things up because you have this conflict within yourself. I'm sorry, this smoke is really in my face. I guess that's not so good here because I'm right next to the house. So instead of it blowing away, it blows right in my face. Let's see if I can get this a little bit better. Okay, so I was explaining, yeah, that we, no matter what, basically we have to stay consistent with our beliefs. And if we change something in our external world and we are not aware that we have the belief, we create an internal conflict basically. And that internal conflict kind of works like a thermostat, where if you go like, well, the thermostat has been on 18 degrees because that's where it says rich people are bad people, and then I start to become a rich person. So the temperature like goes up, goes up, goes up. Basically, the air conditioning goes on to bring you down so that you no longer are a rich person. It's a very simplistic explanation, but it should demonstrate how it works. And yeah, so it's a very important one, and it's what we will be working on through the astrological energies for the coming month. And so if you want to put some extra effort in there, come and join me in the challenge because we will go into absolute detail about that, and we will start working in a way that you can figure out what your beliefs are, which ones you want to keep, which ones you want to change, how to do that, even the ones that are hard, that are anchored in your ancestry or in trauma, because, you know, if they're innocent, is often enough to just become aware of them. But if they are rooted in deeper causes, then it takes some work to change them. And so go into all of that. And that's just something that we will be dealing with as a collective. And it was very interesting when I was listening to the astrology this morning that we have a little bit of a special effect this year as we go through it, because on Monday, at least for me, I think it's Monday, we will start Mercury retrograde. And then in about 2 weeks, on the 6th of December, we will have Mars retrograde. And basically, Mercury is your mind and Mars is your ego. And these are very important parts of your being, because I absolutely do not subscribe to the idea of trying to kill off your ego. I still have some questions about, even like people say, well, I went through this ego death. I kind of can understand what happens there, and I've kind of seen it happen to people where they really have like just like a big transformation where a whole bulk of old programming basically all of a sudden falls away. And I think that's what people describe as an ego death, where you don't literally feel like a different person afterwards. But the whole thing about like, yeah, trying to get rid of your ego, trying to kill off your ego, all of those things are absolutely absurd, because you need an ego to be an incarnated human being. The whole problem is that the ego is not functioning the way it's supposed to function. Again, because so many things about life we understand wrong, and we get wrong, and we get wrong in the wrong proportions, and we give functions to parts who are not supposed to have this function. And that turns our ego into kind of an egomaniacal, out of proportion part of ourselves. So it's about integrating the ego and bringing the ego back to its authentic state as well. And so when these go retrogrades, the mind and the ego, and the mind is like also one of these things, our minds can be brilliant, but we value what the mind says above anything else. And it also starts meddling into things where it has actually no business meddling in. And we have so little control of our mind, and we have so many little awareness about our belief systems that constantly feed thoughts into that mind that I think, is it Sadhguru who calls it like the monkey mind, where it's just like also kind of out of control. So we have kind of an ego that's out of control and a mind that's out of control, but they are both going to be retrograding, which kind of means they're kind of going offline. They kind of lose their power. So even though it's very important that they're there, it can also be very nice if they're out of control, that they kind of go quiet, go more to the background, so that we have, or that we can start to get more perspective on these other things that we actually have available, because the mind and the ego are now ruling the show, and there's so many more aspects of ourselves that actually need a place on that table that usually don't get one, because those two are dominating everything. And so that's going to happen. And then we are in Sagittarius with the sun now, and Mercury is also nearing the end of Sagittarius, and it's going to retrograde kind of to the beginning. And that's in opposition of the sign of Gemini, where we have Jupiter. And so also the Earth, you could say, because the Earth from the sun's perspective projects also onto Gemini. So if Sagittarius with Mercury and the sun, and on the opposite we have Gemini with the Earth and Jupiter. And Jupiter actually rules Sagittarius, and Mercury actually rules Gemini. And they're the signs of beliefs and thoughts. So we have this whole kind of portal between those signs where the mind and the thoughts are like in this, not even sure what I should call it, but kind of in this vortex where we can really start to think differently and change our beliefs. So it even comes with a little bit of extra oomph this year, I guess. And then the two ones that usually disturb it, they are kind of offline. So if you ever wanted to work on changing your beliefs, I guess the coming month would be a really good time. So come and join me for the challenge for that. Then I can help you. You don't have to do it all alone. Tea is already cold. That's better. The thermos, luckily, is still warm. What else? Well, if you have anything, like any topic that you have like questions about that you never really understood, that you went like, well, I always wondered about that, how that works, how that navigates, feel free to ask so in the comments, and then I might be able to answer that in the next Fika session. For today, I also think that I am a little bit chatted out. My mind is kind of tired from everything that happened in the last few days. So now I can feel if I start to relax too much, then the mind kind of wants to go like offline. It's not even retrograde yet. It's supposed to be online for another 2 days, but often I start to feel things a little earlier than they're actually supposed to happen. Maybe it is already that a little bit. But yeah, just remember, whatever hard things are happening, whatever challenges or shitty situations, you can turn them into something that will fertilize the rest of your life. And then I think all that is left for me now is to say thank you so much for watching. If you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can click that bell notification thingy if you want to be notified when the videos go online. Normally, that is Saturday morning, 10 a.m. my time, which is Central European time. But today's video will go online tomorrow, so this will be Sunday before you see it. And yeah, so in case I'm ever late, or if I ever manage to get that live thing going, then you might want to join me in for that one. So yeah, a little bit of a hectic one, but I'm happy that I made it to you guys anyways. I hope that you still enjoy it, and that I will see you next week, hopefully on schedule. And I'll miss you. Take care of yourself. And see you in the next one. Bye.